Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of the Fintech Combine. I am your host, Kris Kovacs, and this is the series where we talk with and sometimes about community-based institutions, their digital and business transformation projects, and we meet the innovators, entrepreneurs, and fintechs that make it all possible. On this episode, we're going to peel back the curtain a little bit. We're going to go behind the scenes, and we're going to have a conversation with our producer, Anson Beckler-Jones, who edits, shoots, and has really been the creative force behind creating the Fintech Combine. I think it's an important story because as I have a lot of conversations out in the marketplace with fintechs, with executives at credit unions, there's a lot of interest in using the podcast medium to tell your story. So I'm going to the source. Ready? So if you're ready, let's suit up and get out on the field. With that, Anson, hello. Welcome to this side of the microphone, my friend.
This is weird. I'm usually on that side, manning one of these two cameras.
So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into podcasting, video recording, video production, and photography.
So honestly, the way I got into video was it all started because I got a camera because our daughter was being born. And we wanted to document her life. And so I started a YouTube channel, as everyone did back in 2017. And we did like a family vlog, and that progressed into doing camera gear review and stuff like that. And then actually what probably got me more into doing this professionally is a lot of the work that I did for Constellation.
Right.
Because I think a couple people had seen some of the work I had done on my YouTube channel, and was like, "Hey, can you produce some stuff?" This is actually how we started.
Yeah,
Fintech Combine.
How we did it
was, "Hey, can we can we work on some stuff together?" So at the time, I was very protective of the craft.
Yeah.
But I think you wore me down, and here we are today.
Wore him down. That's the vote of confidence you want to hear. So you really did. You started and I remember as a young parent, right, pulling out the camera, videotaping everything. You know, your first child has 1,000 pictures. Your second child has 3.
Yep.
You really you didn't do anything before having your daughter.
No.
With video and production.
I had a buddy that was in AV class when he was in high school. And so I would be the talent, and maybe sometimes I would run the camera.
Really?
But yeah, before 2017, I hadn't really seriously touched a camera.
That's really amazing. I think that really just highlights just how talented you are. Right?
I appreciate it.
Because, I mean, I have given you some absolute crap. Like literally the last episode. Oh, these won't run in order, but the last episode I gave him was total trash, and he completely salvaged it. Right. So
I did some magic. Yes, I did some magic.
Is that all self-taught, or did you go to any classes or school for it?
Honestly, everything I learned was through YouTube videos and just like teaching myself. I was a sponge when I first started.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out like how to do this.
Right.
And then I got to a level where, you surround yourself with people that are creatives, and the more creative they are, the more creative you want to be and push yourself.
Right.
And so I just had some friends that were really good at doing video and filmmaking and photography, and it just pushed me to learn more and to teach and to really discipline myself to know more.
You put yourself in a position where you had a certain set of skills, and then I feel like the business marketplace is coming to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that, this idiot would have started a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. And people would listen. Thank you very much for supporting us.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. But more and more so, businesses are using podcasting, video production as a way of kind of earning media time with their potential customers. Right.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah. And it's an interesting time too, because very much so the case. Like it was funny. We actually just signed someone on a 3-month retainer. We hadn't done any cold calling on them. We hadn't even approached them. They approached us.
Right.
And was like, we like what you do on, as far as what you do on social media. We have a social media following. Can you help us produce better content?
Right.
And I think that's the thing. We're in this interesting time where with AI, we've had stock footage and photos for eternities, clip art, all that good stuff, back in the day. But especially with AI, you have companies that are wanting to have highly produced content that's organic, because stuff like Google SEO, we actually are partnering with a marketing firm here at the loading dock. And they were saying that Google is starting to prioritize organic content. So if you have stock photos, stock video, it's not going to necessarily like penalize you, but it's going to try to promote people that have organic content.
Right.
And so that's a no-brainer for photo and video. And so it kind of has come to us, and I'm super, I don't want to say like blessed, but like blessed, to say like, I came in to do full-time freelance with Jessica Woodall Photography back in May. And less than 6 months in, like, I'm able to pay my bills.
That's awesome.
Right.
That is so cool. Yeah.
And and you take that gamble, where it's just like, okay, I don't know if this is going to pan out. I don't know if this is going to work out, but so far it has, like, I've been able to have it be a source of income.
So what do you think? So we've got a lot of entrepreneurs and credit unions, by the way, who may very well be thinking about podcasting and doing those things themselves. What do you think the power of podcasting gives somebody who's trying to, get new business, connect to a community? Why do you think that podcasting is a powerful source of that?
So I have a buddy that runs an entire studio based on podcast.
Wow.
Like he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to necessarily say like low hanging fruit, but kind of low hanging fruit to be on social media. And I think every company, whatever you do, needs to have some sort of online presence. Right. And podcasting, especially if you are someone that gives lectures or does speaking events, stuff like that. Right. It's almost like a natural fit to go into podcast. Right. Because you have that thought. You don't necessarily even have to do a podcast like this or where we have guests. You could even I've had people that will do podcasts. They just talk for 15, 30 minutes. Wow. Because maybe they have a new concept. They have a new, something they want people to start thinking about. And it's a different way than, because you can go the social media kind of influencer route where you're doing.
But those tend to be like the shorter little like TikTok-y dances, right? Do you do that too?
I would love to do TikTok-y dances. I'm not cut out for that.
But podcasting certainly gives you another. It's really in contrast to the very popular short 1 minute videos, right?
Yes, and I think there is. So if you peel back the veil of like social media platforms, right? YouTube, even now, like God, my daughter watches Spotify more than she watches YouTube. Wow. Because apparently they're driving video. But you look at these social media platforms, one of their biggest metric is keeping you watching, right? Now, one way they approach that is by doom scrolling. Yep. Watching the shorts and
enabling the algorithm to keep serving up what's going to keep you going. Yeah.
But an easy layup for another way of doing that is getting a podcast that people are going to listen to, that they're going to be listening to for an hour, maybe even more if you're watching Joe Rogan's podcast, stuff like that. Yeah. And so that's why they push either short form or really long form a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And I feel like podcast is a sophisticated way for businesses and companies, entrepreneurs, to take a piece of that influencer pie. Yeah. Because they're not having to get on TikTok and do dances. They're not having to do trends, and stuff like that. Right. They're able to have that sophisticated approach to being on social media. Right. And take that market. And honestly, a lot of times, like the one that we just signed for retainer, she's a realtor and a lot of her leads come from Instagram. And it's just like social media we used to say, I think when I was back at Apple back in the day. I don't know how many of these platforms are going to stay around.
Right.
There was a conversation of how much of social media is a flash in the pan.
Right.
I think we figured out by now it's not really going anywhere. And
No.
so you might as well use it for your business. You might as well, Facebook is super lucrative. For that matter, LinkedIn is extremely lucrative.
Really?
And, because people want that content. And so they, yes, you have YouTube, TikTok that have a lot of content there.
Yeah,
but then you do have stuff like Facebook or LinkedIn that are hungry for the content for the business professional.
Right.
And so that's why a lot of people are seeing success on those platforms.
Now, when we talk about podcasting, I remember in the olden days, right, podcasting was just audio. But more and more of it's becoming video. I don't know if that's a Joe Rogan kind of influence or something else. Why do you think that's happening? And are you seeing that in the conversations you're having with potential clients, right? This idea that, yeah, I want the longer form audio podcast, but I want to do the video side as well, like we do.
So I think it's funny when I talk to people about podcasts, I automatically assume it's a video podcast now.
Really?
I actually had somebody the other day. I think we were talking about podcast, and I asked them what platform they were on, and they mentioned just audio streaming services, and I was like, oh, so you're just an audio podcast, and it's just like that would normally be just a podcast,
right?
Now, but now like everything. But that's, again, the influence of social media because everything is video.
Right.
Everything's visual now. And it's, in fairness, I think it's a way to build a relationship with your clientele that you couldn't do with audio podcasts. I was thinking about this, like how many of us grew up listening to radio and you would, some of us, my daughter was extremely disappointed in cable TV the other day. She's like, why are we watching all these ads? And I was just like,
she's touching the screen trying to skip.
Please skip it. I want to watch more of that show. Well, that's not how cable works, babe. But but how many times do we listen to the radio and we hear somebody talking and we see them in person or we see what they look like? And you're like, I had no idea you looked like this.
Yeah.
So, but now with it being so accessible to record the video with the audio, it's just it's a different way of approaching.
Do you have to do something different when you're producing a podcast that's video versus audio from a distribution perspective? Like when we were going this, we had conversations about how we were going to distribute, which channels we wanted to be available on. How do you walk through the decision of, after you've made the decision to start a podcast, how do you walk through those initial decision points you need to make around distribution, content, format, style, those kinds of things?
I think it depends on what audience you're going after, what platforms you want to really see success on. Because if it is something like I want to see success on Spotify, well, we discovered that Spotify, really likes video podcasts because they want to boost their video services. And then on top of that, we discovered also that we're able to take the audio feed from Spotify and push it to all the audio only channels. And so I think it all, again, it goes back to what's your target audience. If you have no desire of being on camera, then that's an easy answer, right? We can, and the vast amount of production time that it takes for an audio podcast versus a video podcast is substantial. I wouldn't put any of these lights in here if we were doing an audio podcast.
I would hope not.
None of the
doesn't
cameras.
Translate
it doesn't translate. We could to make ourselves feel better. We're in a studio. But no, we're just set up with a recorder and go. So it all depends on your target audience.
So you are, and many people won't know this, you are a B2C influencer. You talked about your YouTube channel. You're legit. Right?
I'm small legit.
You're sponsored.
Small legit.
You're sponsored and legit. And they take you on world trips and things like this for the things you want to do.
Right.
That's really a B2C voice, right? Yeah. How do you think we've been doing this for 2 years now. How do you think the B2B voice is different?
Because that's primarily our audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think again, it goes back to knowing your audience and what they're going to consume. right? The B2B is not going to consume my YouTube channel the same way that they would consume our YouTube channel.
Right. Right.
And so I think that is the bigger difference there is like, how are you going to approach it? How are you going to package it?
Right.
You know, going back to podcasting being a form of influencing to begin with.
Right.
That's an easy one for corporations to handle because everyone listens to a podcast or watches a podcast,
right?
Whether it's while you're finishing up your cup of coffee before you start the day, or
driving to record your own
podcast.
I was listening to one on the way here.
I am the outlier here. I actually, oddly enough, don't listen to podcasts.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Don't erase that. Erase that. You know what they're going to say when they hear you say that? Like, why are we here?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I am a music fan. I love listening to music. So but if there's a like I listen to our podcast.
I would hope so. You
yes,
edit it. So.
Yes, I do that. And there are a couple of podcasts that will catch my attention.
Right.
I used to be big into podcasts.
Right.
And that's one reason I love podcasts is because I remember what it was like, because me and my wife, we can never agree on music.
Right.
And so we would we both worked in Durham. And oddly enough, we didn't travel together ever when we were at Constellation, hardly ever.
Yeah.
Because we would be at different times.
That's sometimes a good thing. There's a whole other story there. Working with your spouse. My story, not his. Right. I don't know that my wife has ever forgiven me for the things I said when we were driving home one day. It wasn't bad like that. It was simply that, it had been a long day and, I just needed some peace and quiet.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I get it. There are times where like, we can't talk right now.
No, you just can't, right?
No.
I mean, there's times when you can talk. That's why you need lights to tell you what time it is to talk.
Yes.
And then when there are no lights, you shouldn't talk.
No, you should not. You should not.
But you said, I'm sorry, I interrupted your story. You and your wife Savannah were driving to Durham.
Yeah.
Right.
So we would
agree on a podcast, but not music.
Well, we couldn't agree on music, so we'd listen to like true crime podcasts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I love the era of like podcasts, and they may still exist, and I need to see if they do. But there used to be podcasts where people would like write narrative stories that were just delivered in audio form.
Really?
It was fascinating.
Huh.
And so that was always something that kind of like caught my attention because that like all that is sound design, which is another whole part of like video filmmaking.
I mean, they're not doing like the clip clop of the horses on the table
like Monty I'm sure Python, they would.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. They were telling stories.
Yeah,
just like the old radio ways.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly.
Radio stories. Yeah.
It was fascinating. So, those are ones that I would consume and it was really easy to consume. So I have that affection for podcasts.
Okay.
So
So you are now working with a variety of folks on podcasts. Does sometimes people are like, oh, I really like what you do. There's no way I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm saying. Like, is there a formula for success for a podcast, or is it more just start rolling and see what happens?
I would love to say I have that formula for success.
Right.
I say I'm small time influencer. Like in the grand scheme of things, I have about to hit 18,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, like, yes, I'm probably in the 98% of YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it could be bigger. I've never been able to figure out that virality side of social media.
Yeah. How do you go from, that Anson Co to Mr. Beast?
Yes, right. Exactly. Yeah. Who I think just hit like 800 million subscribers.
Yeah,
which I'm ridiculous. Like, I don't understand that number. But I think the thing is, what was the question?
Do you have to have it all figured out?
Oh.
Or can it be more organic? Can it be more natural? Can you learn as you go? Like the first episode I gave you was atrocious.
It wasn't that bad.
It was an abomination to podcasting, right? And sound editing and engineering and all of it was awful. And I basically begged you and said, Anson, can you help me, please?
So I'm going to use you as a testimonial. For anyone that is wanting a video podcast.
For sure. Please. That's what this is intended to be, right? It's 100%.
I would say, coming from my experience with social media, 100% it is start rolling. You're not like...
That's good advice.
It is, there's a YouTube channel that I followed for a long time that their whole mission is to kind of help with YouTube strategy. And one of their catchphrases is just start recording. Because like, you never know.
Right.
Like so for example, right now I work with a golf channel. I'm their editor. I'm their lead editor. And they want so bad to get that virality so that they can compete with some of the other counterparts that they're seeing success.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's no reason really. And I'll even look at the channel having 7-ish years of experience on YouTube. I'll look at it. I'm like, I don't understand how they got that virality and you haven't, other than they were maybe behind the scenes marketing it more.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a crapshoot.
Yeah. What connects with people.
Yeah.
Right.
You never know. Like, you never know. The big thing with, like, especially YouTube, and I speak of YouTube because that's what I'm used to, but there is countless stories of I posted for years and didn't see any traction, and then one time it blew up, and then it just went crazy.
It starts from there.
And then there are some people that never blow up, but they grind away.
Yeah.
And, I consider myself a little bit more on that side as far as my influencer status, because it has been a little bit of a grind. I haven't seen, astronomical success, but I'm posting every week. Right. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm understanding what I need to do.
Yeah.
And seeing that. So I would say the biggest thing, you're not going to do great at first.
That's okay.
That's okay. Just start recording.
Keep rolling.
Just start recording. Even on my channel, there's stuff that I've gone back and I've privated because either A, it was the family vlogs and it just isn't consistent with my brand on YouTube, or B, it wasn't good. And so I'm like, I want my best foot forward. And so you can always go back and private those. But I'll say this and I actually had the conversation with this, with a buddy of mine that's in the YouTube space, but also in the freelance business, where we would say, we both agreed, if you're a budding videographer, photographer, start a YouTube channel, trial by error,
right.
And the same thing with podcasts, like trial by error. You may do a couple podcasts yourself and realize I need to hire someone if I really want this to make sense. Or you may get really good, kind of like myself, where you are driven by the understanding of how to make this look better, sound better, to where you are able to do it yourself.
Right.
But it all starts by hitting record.
It's like what Gary Vaynerchuk says, right? Just record and post every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Just get comfortable doing it in the end. What does as you work with clients and you're having conversations about how to increase their visibility, what role does marketing play in that outside of the production of the pod itself? There are things like shorts and paid advertising and things like that. Does that ever work?
I think it does. I with podcasts, it is, and honestly, with any video on the internet, sometimes it's a scenario of if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to see it or hear it, does it make a sound? Hear it. Doesn't make a sound.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with videos on the internet.
Right.
So if you put out a video, I think the biggest thing that anyone could understand, whether it's a podcast, whether it's like just a general YouTube video or social media content, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, the biggest thing that people can learn is to get past this idea that once you post something, the internet is hungry for what you have and they should automatically go to it.
Right.
At first, that's not going to happen. And it may never happen.
Yeah.
Depending on how successful you are.
Right.
You have to put your feet to the ground to put out, I tell the golf channel all the time, you need to be posting to Instagram that you have a new YouTube video. We put on LinkedIn, hey, this episode's up.
Yep.
Like there is a side of marketing that 100% has to be, in place to have successful.
It's got to be a part of the plan.
And it goes hand in hand with the marketing team because like this is in a way it's a twofold because it's marketing content that the marketing team in your company can use.
Right.
But they also have to market that marketing content in some ways. And so it's multifaceted in that way.
What are some myths or things that people should avoid when they're podcasting, right? So clearly I've probably done all of them, right? Except for hire really good people who make you look good. Like, what do people get wrong and what should they not do?
Something that people get wrong is that, so I just said start recording.
Yeah.
But there is a side of it is just because you're saying something doesn't mean it matters.
It's true for America, my friend.
Yes. Yes. The one thing, if there's one thing I could ever teach anybody that is coming into social media, podcasting, whatever it may be, is be objective when you're thinking about what you're putting out. Don't be subjective and think that just because you're doing this, it should be successful and it should work. Right. Be objective. Think about what can this offer? You know, when I'm titling our podcast, I always think about what is going to compel someone to click on this video.
Right.
It's not going to be Fintech Combine episode 31, Kris talks to Mike. It's not going to be that. Yeah. We may see that.
Yeah.
But I need to, so those are things I'm using the AI for.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I need you to look at the transcripts and I need you to give me compelling titles that will compel people to click on this video.
Right.
Because I think there's good content here.
Yeah.
But I need to let people know why there's good content here.
Okay.
So
be active in its marketing. Don't just record it and think because you recorded it and put it out there somebody's interested in it.
Yes.
Right. Are there, I mean, you've had conversations with a lot of folks. Are there styles or topics that we should avoid or that just don't connect, like, should you use a podcast to tell a customer story? You know what I mean? Like,
the interesting thing is I would say yes.
Okay.
But you have to understand your audience. That's going back. That always goes back to that. You have to understand who you're targeting.
Right.
If you're targeting someone that is, at the end of the day, doesn't really care about other customers of yours and what they're saying.
Right.
Then, then that's not your content.
Right.
For going back to my YouTube channel, there are certain topics I know will not do well.
Oh, okay.
Because I know that my audience is not looking for that on my channel.
Okay. You've gotten that through experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotten through experience, got to look at analytics. If I ever do a light review, it's never going to do well.
Right.
I only do light reviews because I have never paid for a single light in my whole tenure of filmmaking.
Right.
So
and he has a lot of lights.
I have a lot of lights. So there is, it's just, again, I don't think there are topics that are off limits.
Right.
I think there are topics that are off limits depending on your audience.
Oh, that's smart.
So I think that's where, going back to the YouTube channel that talks about strategy.
Yeah.
When you go record, one of the first things that they mention to do is to research first. Mm-hmm. Like, we're Fintech Combine.
Yep.
Right? I'd be surprised if this episode ever does well. If I'm honest.
No, this is going to do really well.
I don't think
everyone's going to like it. They're going to subscribe to it. They're going to share it because you think that I'm telling you, whether you're a credit union executive who is a thought leader, to your point, making speeches, making presentations, doing those things, or you're a fintech, right? I've had conversations with many folks on both sides who really appreciate the medium, right? Yeah. Who it really connects with, and who very well may be interested in starting their own, but we get I don't know, I wouldn't call it stage fright kind of thing, but you get kind of intimidated by it. One, because the quality that you produce is so good, right? And I would not underestimate how much of a value this story will be to our fintech partners who are trying to tell their story.
But you know what's going to connect? What's going to connect is how we tie in the title.
Oh, should we talk about what the title should be?
Not necessarily right now. I mean, in theory, we probably are going to have this conversation. Or I'll run through ChatGPT and then we'll have the conversation. But that's to that point.
Yeah.
You can have topics that you talk about. Right. You have to get creative with how you put it out.
How you share it, how you market it.
Because if we just share like, and the reason I say this episode won't do well is because we're not talking about a bank and we're not talking about financial technology.
Right.
We're talking about marketing, which
Marketing
is in our Venn diagram.
Yeah.
It's in our Venn diagram.
Yeah.
But it's on the outskirts.
Okay.
Yeah, I would venture to say it's on the outskirts.
Okay.
And so for us, we have to be a little bit more strategic on the title and how we do the description and stuff like that, so that Google knows how to serve that to our audience.
Gotcha.
So that, why, maybe spitballing, like why marketing, why podcasting is important for young up and coming financial technology companies. Like that would be an example of a title I would use.
Right.
It ties in our audience.
Right.
And, and that creates that compelling, aspect to it.
Right.
So I think, but all that to say, like, you have to understand your audience and know what your audience is going to accept.
What's your, and you may, this section you may want to cut out of your podcast for the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know. Maybe you want to keep it. You have edited every one of the videos we've produced, over 50 of them now.
Yes.
Right? What was your favorite guest?
Oh, man.
Or story?
Favorite guest or story? I have a couple. And it's usually all from, like, it makes me pay attention while I'm editing. Because, I mean, not that I don't pay attention, but, like, sometimes when it's 50 minutes of talking. Yeah. You start to like, okay, I just need to make sure there's no technical issues here.
Yeah, that Kris didn't drop an F-bomb.
Yes,
or something.
Something of that nature. One was my favorite because her personality was just all like fire. She was a spark, a personality. Ann Legg, that was early on.
Yep.
It was also fun because I had to. That was one of the first times that I had to do some editing magic because her earrings kept on hitting her microphone. And so I was like, how do I hide this?
That's why I don't wear earrings anymore, folks.
Oh man. The amount of times, as a side note, I say filmmaking is nothing but problem solving. The amount of times that I've had to be like, Kris, we were out of focus, or like,
oh yeah, those times.
There was that one episode that everything was out of focus. But I would say Ann was a good one. There were a couple. There was the guest where we had the wrong date and we all just died laughing. Those. Yep. It's always like the ones that just make me chuckle a little bit. Another one that I really liked was Andy from Attune. Yeah. I felt like the things that they were saying were just awesome. Yeah, like really connected. Absolutely. I think that was the first time we talked about AI, and it was just like, oh wow. Yeah. Like this, I like the way we're addressing this. So yeah, those are some of my standout favorites.
Okay. How terrible is it working with me?
It's not terrible. It's not.
You didn't say it was good though.
It's not. No, I meant like it's not terrible. Oh, sorry, let me change the inflection of my voice. It's not terrible. It's great. No, I mean honestly, you make it super. The amount of times that I don't have to cut. And really my job in the editing is making sure that like, I just have to like, when I cut, so like a lot of times, so peel back the veil. A lot of times when I cut to like this angle or that angle, it's to cover up like a mistake. Right. I don't do that in a lot of our episodes. Right. Like I cut to your full shot because I just want to spice up the view. But like the amount of times that like, I don't have to really do much editing, you're a very good host.
Yeah. Well, again, I think you've trained me well.
Right? I did discover that you deliver your lines if you can see yourself on the screen.
Yeah. See, so this is the behind the scenes stuff, right? Like, especially. So what I appreciate about your immense talent and what I've learned is that as important as, especially today, video is. Mm-hmm. If the audio is bad, the episode's bad.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't matter how good the video is.
Yes.
If the audio is bad,
the
episode is bad. And you don't do bad audio.
I appreciate it.
I mean, you have, again, I have given you some atrocities.
That last one.
The last one was terrible.
Did you see the raw video and just hear the audio from that raw video? Like how it was
No, I
spiking?
didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. So
Whew.
you're going to have to teach me a couple of times. I travel with a little bit of equipment, and I do an episode.
He does a great job.
I do an episode away from home on travel at a conference or something else, which is a great way, by the way. You have great conversations at conferences. So I would give some insight. Travel with a small microphone or a microphone set, a camera, and just sit down and record some of the conversations you have with thought leaders, because those by themselves can be amazing.
They are.
Right. The problem is when you don't use the mics correctly, and suddenly it sounds like you're inside of a tin can. Right. That becomes part of the problem.
Those have happened. But no, I think for seeing the first episode that you had, the reason why you hired me.
Yeah.
And seeing the ones that we've seen recently where it's just you've come a long way.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You've come a long way.
I appreciate that. So how long does it take you to edit one of our shows? So just from a time perspective, so that people understand if they're talking to a producer, and maybe that's the better question. If someone's approaching a producer and saying, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this," what kind of investment could they be expected to make to produce a show like ours?
There's a lot of variations.
Okay.
A lot of variables rather, because it all depends on like where you're located, because markets are priced differently.
Sure.
How much goes into it? 1 camera, 2 camera. There's a lot of different variables. For me, like, for example, I probably am on the lower end of what I charge. I usually do about $600 an hour.
Okay.
And that may change. So please, if you're watching this later on and I'm like increase my prices because of inflation, don't take me on it. But, I think that's the thing. And, that's kind of like a good, like, ballpark.
So, recording, say if the goal is to do a 45-minute show, you've got the setup of the location, you've got the recording, you've got the downloading, processing, editing of it all, final production. I mean, you're probably talking about 4 hours.
Yes, especially early on.
Okay.
Especially early on.
Okay.
If you're doing it yourself.
Right.
If you're doing it yourself, like early on, it's going to take a lot more. I would say I set up this light probably all this set up in about 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
But that's also because I was tweaking some things.
Right.
Because this is probably the second time we've used this light package.
Yeah, because normally we don't interview like this. We do it over Riverside, which we should probably talk about.
We should definitely talk about Riverside.
Yeah.
But I'd say about 45 minutes. You get the footage in, depending on if you're doing color grading. It also depends on like how seasoned the interviewer is. So like with you, I probably spend an hour on our edit.
Okay.
At most.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's more so because of things like if there is a mistake, I'm covering up mistake. If there are audio issues, I'm having to fix those.
Right.
That will play a part into it. But then also like the intro, outro, like the little, logo stings and stuff like that.
Yeah. The graphics.
I'd say like to cushion it, maybe 2.
Okay.
Right. Early on, it was not that. It was probably 6 hours.
It took a while.
I remember when I was still at Constellation, I would block off a whole day. To edit it.
Yeah. That's how many mistakes I was making.
Or how unseasoned I was as a podcast producer. Yeah. I mean, it just depends. Like, it's all about ROI.
Right.
For me.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to make money off of the podcast, hire someone.
Right.
If you don't, if it's just for getting your name out there, getting your social media, try it first by yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's worth it, because ROI is also like time is money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Then again, hire someone.
Right.
There are a lot of good with podcast services being so normalized now. Yeah. There's a lot of places that will allow for.
And do you have to go I know there are studios. Your friend runs a studio where people go to the studio. Everything is set up all the time. They just book their time, cut it, and go. But you can get a very high quality product from a setup on location like this.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so peel back the veil. We're in my co-working space, and I just booked a conference room.
Right.
And we're just in one of the conference rooms. I think if you talk to any freelance videographer, they may just not have the equipment, may not have the mic, stuff like that.
Right.
But if they have the equipment, if they have access to the equipment, I'm sure they'd be up for on location podcasting.
Yeah.
Especially if we're doing stuff like Riverside,
right,
where you're doing interviews over the internet,
right,
rather than in person. Then the setup becomes substantially easier.
Yeah.
So
did we started
on Zoom.
We started on Zoom.
Yes.
Was really rough.
It was bad.
Tough to edit. Probably when you're spending more time on it.
It was tough to edit because of the quality of the video.
Right.
Because especially on the guest end, because we had our cameras, we
didn't use the Zoom camera.
Right. No, we didn't use the Zoom camera. But the guests, when they would come in, it'd be low resolution.
Right.
One thing about Riverside is it records on the guest side.
Both sides.
Yeah. And so but Zoom doesn't. So it was all dependent on how good their internet was.
Right.
To where if we could get a good quality signal out of it. So switching to I actually, my buddy that runs his podcast business is switching Riverside.
Yeah. And Riverside has post-production tools as well. I mean, you can, I'm able to create shorts for YouTube and for Instagram and other things based on little pieces, and it produces it and puts it out. It's pretty amazing.
And honestly, if you do it right, if you didn't want as much control on the post, so we add the Stinger logo and the graphics and everything, but if you didn't really care about that stuff and you just wanted something out, it can help you do that in Riverside as well.
It can do all.
It can do the long form too.
Yeah, that's a great product. It really is.
It really is. Definitely worth it.
So if somebody is here in the Raleigh area, or perhaps Japan the next time you're taken to Japan, if somebody's here in the Raleigh area and they are interested in talking to you about setting up a podcast, or we have folks at home who are interested in having some conversations with you about, hey, help me come up with a plan, help me find the right talent locally to be able to do that. How can they get in touch with you to ask you questions about this art that you do so well?
Yeah. So I'm not an official employee, but I'm primarily contracted with Jessica Woodall Photography.
Okay.
And I'll leave the link since I'm the editor. I'll leave a link in the description below.
The link right here.
Well, they can't click on it right there.
No, they can't click on it right there.
Actually, I could do a card. Anyways, I digress. JessicaWoodallPhotography.com. There's a contact form. Okay. If that's too long for URL or you forget, whatever, Anson & Co. on Instagram is my primary Instagram handle and brand. And then I can redirect and we can kind of go through that. But yeah, Jessica Woodall Photography is probably the best way.
Awesome. So once again, I will say thank you for everything you do. You really have made this what it is. And we couldn't do it without you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace. That was an amazing conversation with Kris. I'm super happy we've been able to work together for several years now and have over 50 episodes on the channel. If you like this content, if you like the Fintech Combine, consider subscribing on your platform of choice. And don't forget to check out our LinkedIn for additional bonus material. As always, thank you guys for joining. We'll see you here next time.
Bye, guys.